This is another Debate Talk for You radio public announcement. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
I don't remember some of the things that Brother LeVar said that was accurate, but if Brother LeVar is here, and I do believe he was on the he was on the show that was saying that Kemet had homosexuality in it. I just wanted to ask him a question real quick. Now, him and Brother Josh grilled me about answering questions directly, so I would like them to do the same. Are there specific people in the Kemetic community that are homosexual? Yes or no? And if yes, I want to know their names.
I don't know. And I don't know.
Okay, well, if he doesn't know, then that's
not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. I don't think.
Then that whole debate was pointless because
but that wasn't the debate.
No debate. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Who had a debate about somebody being homosexual, like an individual? What debate are you referring to?
The title said, "Is there homosexuality in the conscious community?" This video came out maybe a few days ago. So
Yeah, you're talking about the video then on YouTube, maybe Global Media.
Yeah, but the thing is, maybe I misread the title, but when you read the title, it's alluding that there's Kemetic people that are homosexuals that are spreading homosexuality. And that's why I tuned in, because I had never heard of that. I only know of one gay Kemetic dude, but he's obviously a Looney Tune. You know, he's really a West African that, you know, like Brother LeVar would say, that's grafting Egyptian culture, but he ain't got no passport, no Egyptian citizen. He grafted the culture and he homosexualized it. That's the only brother I know on there that is some type of a gay Kemetic person. So if you guys don't have any knowledge of any gay Kemetic individual, then my second question is, what proof do you have of homosexuality in Kemet, and do you have names of dynasties, dates, and pharaohs that participated in this gay behavior?
Now, this is what we're talking about. Do you agree that the ancient Egyptians worshiped gods? That they had their god, they're Neteru? Do you agree they worship higher powers? Do you agree with that? Like every other ancient culture on the planet did. Do you agree with that?
I would say yes, I agree with that they did worship a higher power.
And how higher power works, because, you know, they believed in multiple entities. Well, in this documentary, it shows that the ancient Egyptians venerated, worshiped, and promoted these higher powers in the form of personified homosexuals. And what that means is this stuff was written by men. Nobody came from the sky and told them to write this stuff. They came up with this. Like, you might be a writer. You might be an author. If you were writing a book, say the Da Vinci Code, I'm going to use that as an example. If I wrote the Da Vinci Code, then I'm going to have a protagonist, which is the hero, and I'm going to have an antagonist, which is the villain or the main villain. If I identify with homosexuality, meaning I think it's okay, then I will give that as a positive attribute for the hero. But if I don't like homosexuality, I might put that on the villain. So what I'm saying is, if a man wrote this mythology, which they did, because men wrote this stuff, and he makes the gods who he worshiped and praised and adored to be homosexuals, then what kind of man would do that? Would a heterosexual man who's against homosexuality do that, or would a gay man who's trying to promote homosexuality do that? Which one do you think?
So if these Egyptians had gods that were gay, like Atum was known as the great he-she, I'm aware of that. Give me the name of the gay god? Because I only know of one gay god, and he's Greek, and his name is
Atum. I'm glad you mentioned Atum. Atum, Ra. Atum, Ra. That's three because they became different entities when they fused. Atum 1, Ra 2, Atum Ra 3, Horus 4, Set 5, Tahuti was born for homosexual or Thoth 6, Kabetanu 7, Mfeti, Duamutep, and Hapi 8, 9, 10, and 11 because they were born from this homosexual union. I mean, that's enough. And Isis, she was a homosexual enabler because she instructed Horus to sit there and let his own uncle perform anal sex on him. So she was a faggot enabler, as you would call it. You know what I'm saying?
So can I respond to that?
So let me ask you a question. What type of person do you think a heterosexual who's against homosexuality, Susan, would make his God gay? If you could create your own ideal God right now, would you make him homosexual? Would you do that?
Well, me personally, because I'm not gay, I don't venerate homosexuality. I wouldn't create a gay deity. Now let me respond with a statement just real fast. Now this debate, this discussion that we're having actually comes from an older debate where this Mexican Hebrew Israelite was debating against Kemet, and he said the same thing. He said, kids have superheroes, and he said, your superhero, and Kemet, swallows his own semen. And they tried to demonize Kemet and slander Kemet and say that was proof of homosexuality in Kemet. Now, what's so funny is when I was watching this hour-long debate is that beating these people requires almost no brain effort on my part because they set the traps with their own ignorance against themselves. They completely forgot that when it says, Set threw his semen into the river and Horus did this and Atum is the great He-She, they completely forgot that this is mythology and that Atum represents the sun and that Set represents the setting of the sun and that semen is an allegory. See, and this is what's wrong with the Christian mind. The Christian mind takes things that are symbolic, allegory, and parables, and they take them literally. Like they literally think Jesus rose from the dead. But if you look at the ancient Egyptian papyrus, it says when Osiris rises from the dead, he combines with Ptah and becomes Ptah, Seker, or Cyrus. It's allegory. It doesn't mean that a man literally died and he rose from the dead. It doesn't mean that a man literally swallowed another man's semen and created another man, because you got to remember, these guys that you named off are anthropomorphic figures of different animals. So Atum is, everyone knows that Atum is the sun. Isis is a different deity. Some of these gods are modeled after fish. Thoth is the ibis bird. So Thoth, what they're doing is they're anthropomorphizing Thoth as if he's a real individual and saying that, well, Thoth is gay, and if someone did, and even if Thoth, even if Thoth has gay characteristics, then whoever wrote Thoth must have been gay, and that's simply not true. What these are metaphors and allegories that are symbols of hidden deeper meaning. Just like Hathor represented what's called the celestial cow of the Milky Way. Does that mean that there's a main cow sitting in the Milky Way galaxy? No. And the word galaxy gives us the word galactose, which gives us the word lactose, which a female does, which she lactates milk. And that's why Moses says, I'll take you to a land of what? A land flowing with milk and honey. Is that literal too? No. That's symbolic that he's taking you to the Milky Way, from which those texts copied that from Egyptian papyruses. So
can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick? Because
you're
saying a lot, right? Okay, so I'm gonna respond by saying this, right? When you make statements like that's what's wrong with the Christian mind and this is allegory, what you got to understand is that when you look at the Bible, yes, there are certain things that are literal, and you're making it seem what you're doing is painting us all with a broad brush. You're trying to make it seem like we don't look at things in allegory, and that's completely unfair, and that's disingenuous, and that's not true. We know there are certain parts of the Bible that are allegory, and there's certain things in the Bible that are meant to be taken literally, like Jesus Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. So what I'm saying to you is the problem with what you're saying is when you look at post-modern Egyptian times, right, you have to look at the effect on humanity that those texts had on humanity. You can't just say, "Oh, it was meant to be taken this way." You got to look at what's going to happen to the next generations coming up. Looking at the eye of Horus and how it was depicted in a homosexual way, you do realize, and I know you study deep esoteric knowledge and all that stuff, right? And I know you know a little bit about Aleister Crowley, right?
I know a lot about Aleister Crowley.
Of course you do, because you study that nonsense. But here's the thing. This man, you know he was bisexual. Now, what was going on with him? This man was engaging in sex rituals. And you know that all those rituals stem from reading those texts, reading those pyramid texts, reading those coffin texts. So what we're trying to tell you is, what we're trying to tell you is, by reading that stuff and, you know, coming up with these sex rituals, this is why that stuff is not any good. You can say it's all allegory and all this and that. That's fine. That's cool. But what we're saying is nothing righteous comes after reading those texts. Conduct has gone down worldwide on a large scale because of those texts. When you look at all those, what you call esoteric knowledge, which is nothing more than New Age garbage to me, I'm going to just call it like it is. When you look at all that stuff, it has taken the morality of mankind down the drain. And you say you know Aleister Crowley, you know I'm not lying. That's why you can't disagree. You can't disagree that was an immoral man. And he gleaned all that stuff reading that homoerotic material. But go ahead.
Hey, Lavar, let me throw something in here, too, because I didn't get a chance to respond to what he was saying. First of all, the claim that it's all allegorical is in a assumed position because you can't prove that. That's just how you look at it, right? Just like you do with the Bible, saying Jesus was not literally resurrected. That is a lie because history, like documented history, like slavery in America, that's not allegorical. That historically happened. So you don't know how to separate history from mythology. History is recorded events that people believe literally happened. Mythology are stories and legends that may or may not have happened and use all kinds of hyperbole and things to try to tell a story or a hidden message. Jesus' death and resurrection falls under the category of history, not mythology. So that's your first mistake, to try to take something that is cemented in history as literally happened. If you look at when the Romans were persecuting the Christians, they said the Christians were walked around believing that a dead Jewish carpenter rose from the dead. They literally believed that. When they were persecuting these Christians and tried to get them to recant that, they were literally telling these people, we believe this man literally walked the earth, he literally was God in the flesh, and he literally died and resurrected from the dead. It was nothing. At that point, if it was allegorical, that would have been the time to say something because you would have saved your own life. No, Mr. Roman Emperor, we're not saying that we believe this stuff literally. It's just metaphorically. It's an allegory. And the Greeks and the Romans understood allegory really well because they had all these philosophers and stuff, so don't try to be like they wouldn't have understood and killed them anyway. Number two, while we throwing it out there, you keep saying that the story, all this gay stuff, is allegorical and metaphorical. Let's say, for the sake of argument, it was. You still have to explain to me why a heterosexual would use homosexual metaphors to try to illustrate something positive.
All right, let me respond to that.
You still got to explain that.
Yeah, I'm going to explain it to you. So you got to understand that when it says that Set captured Horus's semen or something like that, because when I listened to that debate, I read that and I laughed. I was like, Brother LeVar and Josh, y'all had me cracking up because y'all actually made me read those texts. And so it made me laugh. But in a way, though, I also understood that there was allegorical. See, because Set is he's called the animal. He's an anteater. And you got to remember, Horus is represented as a falcon. So those are obviously allegorical stories. They're not literal stories because Horus, it wasn't talking about Horus the human being. It was talking about Horus the falcon. Just like, I'll give you an example, like we all watch Zeitgeist, and we know the classical battle of vanquishes horse, and the horse rises and he vanquishes Set. That's allegory. That doesn't mean that an anteater is standing on top of the mountain and he's twirling his spear and he throws it at horse, and then horse rises out of the mountain and he attacks a giant anteater. It's allegory. And it's the same thing with Christ resurrecting. And so he said that Christ was a carpenter, right? But carpenter is actually a mistranslation of the word mason. And that's why Jesus refers to himself as what? The great architect, the great mathematician, and Jesus calls himself the chief cornerstone. Because the chief cornerstone is the cornerstone of a pyramid. And Jesus also calls himself the capstone. So the all-seeing eye and pyramid that you see on the $1 bill is Jesus, because Jesus calls them all the various different parts of the pyramid. He calls himself capstone.
Where are you reading this stuff at?
Whoa. You're reading. Hold on. You're reading things. Okay, I will agree that Jesus was a mason. You say carpenter is a mistranslation. That's semantics, because anybody that builds is considered a mason. Number one. Number two, you cannot try to associate Jesus Christ with the capstone of pyramids of Egypt, because, well, read Luke chapter 4:16. Did any Egyptians keep the Sabbath?
That's not me associating it. Read the Bible. Jesus calls himself the capstone.
Yes, it is you. There's no Jewish historian that's saying what you're saying. Nobody gets that from that. Only people that try to fuse biblical writings with esoteric. Because there are esoteric Christians. I'm well aware of that. And what they try to do is fuse paganism with righteousness. And that's all you're doing right now.
Yeah, LeVar.
That's all you're doing.
Hey, LeVar, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Let's stop the game. Show us in the Bible where Jesus is called the capstone. Show us that right now. Book, chapter, verse.
Isaiah 8:14, it says, Then he shall become a sanctuary, but both to the house of Israel, a stone to strike and a stone to stumble, and a snare and a trap for the inhabitants.
Cap.
Then
stone. You said capstone. You said capstone.
Brother,
capstone.
You asked for verses. Let me give you the verses.
I said a capstone. That doesn't say capstone.
I'm getting to it. I'm scrolling through it while I'm looking at it. You got to give me a chance.
Okay.
So it says capstone. Matthew 21. Hold on. It says Matthew 21:42, and it says.
Hey, let us get there with you. Let us get there with you, bro. That's how you teach. Matthew what?
Matthew 21:42. And I'm pulling up on the internet so I can do a little bit faster. And it says, Jesus said to them, Did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, this became the chief cornerstone? This came about from the Lord. Isn't it marvelous in our eyes? That's out of the Bible. That's not me.
Now stop. A cornerstone is not the same as a capstone. That's your first mistake.
I didn't get to it yet, brother. I told you to give me the
Okay. I asked for the capstone. Just take me straight to the capstone, brother. Don't do that. If I'm asking you for a capstone, take me straight to the capstone. I don't need a build-up. I know he's called the cornerstone. We know that. Jesus Christ, the chief cornerstone. We know that. You said cornerstone and capstone. Our argument is not against the cornerstone. We know he was called that. So we're disagreeing with you on the capstone part. It's kind of like you're throwing off truth mixed with fiction, and then we ask you to prove the fiction. You just want to keep proving the truth. We already believe the truth. We know he's the cornerstone. Show us the capstone.
All right. Well, first, let me tell you, what is a chief cornerstone?
No. Look, you in the position of teaching. We're not doing that. You made some claims. You were doing good. You showed the cornerstone. Now, what you're doing is what's commonly done, brother. You're mixing truth with lies. We already believe that he was called the cornerstone. I did a class called The Two Masons, in which I showed that word carpenter and mason is interchangeable. I did that class 3 years ago.
Look what it says. 1984, NIV. What does NIV stand for?
Hold up, 1984.
NIV, what does that stand for in the Bible?
NIV?
What? Yeah, what does NIV stand for?
New International Version? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it says in 1984, the New International Version changes Jesus from cornerstone to capstone.
They did that, bro. You cannot do that. Show us what it says in the original Greek. Let me tell you how to really.
You can't do that. You can't take new versions. You can't do that. You gotta look at the codexes. You can't do that.
The cornerstone still means the capstone.
No, it doesn't. This is the Greek word for cornerstone. No, it doesn't.
What is the Greek word?
Let me show you what it means. The Greek word for cornerstone. Are you with me? Let me get you there. I'm gonna give you time to get there, like you gave me time to get to Matthew 21. Let me know when you get there. See, and I know about the NIV.
Believe you. I don't need to be the same verse. Just go ahead.
Okay, and I know about the NIV, and the NIV is not the only other Bible that do that. There's a whole YouTube video about the NIV being translated by the Illuminati to try to fuse those two together, and you fell for that. We didn't fall for that. This is what it says in the original. This is what it says in the original Greek for cornerstone, right? The word is gunia. And look what it means. It says from G1119, it means an angle, corner, quarter. It has nothing to do with a top or a cap. So the NIV people mistranslated that for it to be a cap. A corner is something that's in a corner and at an angle. It does not mean capstone. So you're not dealing with
what this brother doesn't understand is that actually a capstone is the corner angle, which is the chief cornerstone of a pyramid.
No, that is not true. That is not true.
If you read it, turn your Bible to Acts 4:11. It says, Jesus is the stone you builders rejected, which has become the cornerstone.
But a cornerstone refers to the foundation. We're not dealing with pyramids. You cannot take a Hebrew culture and see the word cornerstone and try to use the Egyptian
is that literal or is that allegory?
Yes, it's allegory.
Allegory.
Listen, yes, it's allegory, but listen, you're misunderstanding the allegory.
Right.
But let me finish. If you're dealing with a cornerstone, that type of language has to come from the culture of the person who is making the statement to understand it. Jesus is a Hebrew Israelite, and he's referring to a cornerstone, something that is used to build something, as the Hebrew Israelite understood it. You can't take something that Hebrew said.
And what was Jesus building?
He was building his church. He was building his church. He said, on this stone will I build his church. That's what he was
doing. Now you're going to change the text around.
He was building church.
Listen, fellas, we're going to have like, hold on. We have like maybe 10 more minutes on the air before we pretty much wrap it up. Just let y'all guys know. So y'all can keep on, dialogue. Okay.
Yeah, the building is the building of mankind. Y'all got to read y'all Bibles. It's the building of man.
You don't know anything, bro. He said he was building his church. On this rock, stone, will I build my church. He ain't saying nothing about no pyramids. You throwing that in there. Show me where Jesus said he was the cornerstone or a capstone for a pyramid. Show us that.
I just can't do it. Turn
a pyramid.
Turn to Acts 4:11 in your Bible.
Acts 4:11 just say the stone they rejected. We got that. We believe that. See, you don't listen, brother. I want you to show
but listen,
me
hold on. You missed out
a pyramid.
Hold on. Read the whole verse to me. Read from beginning to end.
What whole verse?
Acts 4:11.
It's gonna tell me that he's the cornerstone for a pyramid.
You getting capstone? You getting capstone out of head of the corner?
One at a time.
Okay, look. Hold on. This is Acts 4.
Can anybody read Acts 4?
LeVar, you get in. LeVar. What you saying? I can hardly hear you too, LeVar. You low.
Hold on. Let me read the whole verse.
LeVar, you're low. LeVar, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. You cannot fuse Hebrew custom and thought with Egyptian custom and thought, because you're going to make a blunder. Now look, Acts 4:11, we're going to read the whole thing. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders.
Nah, that's not in my Bible, man. I don't know what y'all reading, but that's not in the Bible.
Amen. Hold on. Let them get it all out. One at a time, y'all.
Listen, God.
My bad. Go ahead.
One at a time. All right, cool.
What version of the Bible are you reading?
We must be in two different Bibles, man. Mine says Acts 4:11, and I'm on the internet and I got like 100 Bibles on here, and they all say the same thing.
Hold on, let me read it for you then. Right, Josh, are you getting this?
Yes, it says the stone which was set at naught.
You know the King James?
Yes.
Well, the King James. This is where we're having the discrepancy. King James left out.
Here it come, y'all. look, he couldn't get what he wanted out of the KJV, so he got to run somewhere else. Some later edition. That's what they do.
Bring it out.
Let me say real quick. In the King James Version, it don't use Jesus, but in the New National Version, it says Jesus is the stone that the builders rejected. In the New Living Translation, the Jehovah's Witness Bible says
we agree with
Jesus
that.
is the one referred to in the scriptures when it says the stone that you builders rejected has now become the cornerstone. English version is the stone you rejected.
You're wasting your time. We agree with that.
So what I asked Brother Josh, I said, was this allegory? And he said yes. So if there's allegory, I don't understand why y'all can't understand the stuff.
Listen, Sutin, you're not understanding us. What we're saying is, listen carefully now, because it seems like you don't grasp simple concepts. Number one, we agree that it's allegory. He's not a literal stone. We got that. We believe he was a literal man that walked the earth, but this is an allegorical term for him, the cornerstone. See, your thing is you believe the whole thing is allegory. That's what you're getting at. We aren't saying that. What we're saying is this is a allegorical term used to describe a literal man. You're saying the whole freaking thing is allegorical. I got that.
I didn't say the whole thing is literal. I mean, I'm saying, you got to understand that I don't believe that Jesus existed. So yes, I am saying that the whole thing is allegory.
Exactly. So you agree with me, but that's not the point.
I don't know how y'all can, with all y'all wisdom.
But that's not the point, Susan. Stop. But that's not the point. That's not even it. I don't care if you believe that. That's fine. What I want you to do is show us that Jesus said he was the cornerstone for a pyramid. That's what we're saying.
Let me ask you a question.
No, don't ask it with a question.
No, I'm going to answer your question. Hold on, brother, relax. I'm going to answer your question. Hold on. Now, you asked me.
In the Bible. Show us in the Bible.
You asked me to show you that a cornerstone is the cornerstone of a pyramid. Now, beyond the Bible.
No, not beyond the Bible. We don't believe beyond the Bible.
Hold on. No, hold on.
You're wasting your time, bro. If you can't show it in the Bible, we don't believe it.
But hold on, brother. Hold on. This has to do with the Bible. In general, what is a chief cornerstone, the corner of a what?
Of a building.
Exactly. And a pyramid is also a structure which can be like a building.
But why are we throwing a pyramid in there? Why are we throwing a pyramid? Why are we throwing the Tower of Babel in there? Why are we throwing the Taj Mahal in there?
Do you want to know why you don't know? The Illuminati is smarter than Christians because Christians.
Illuminati. Dude, you can't prove nothing you say.
What is the word Illuminati?
Anything you say. That's what it is. All you got is philosophy, bro. You can't prove nothing. You saying this is the cornerstone for a pyramid, then show us that.
Right. So you said if it's the cornerstone of a building, right, and you agreed with that, and it's
a building. There are many buildings. Now, I want to see pyramids.
I'm getting to it. So now, what
in the Bible?
Exactly.
Wait, Susan. Let's not waste people's time. We ain't got that much time left. Susan, we ain't got that much time left. Can you or can you not show it in the Bible? Yes or no?
Yes, I can.
For a pyramid. Well, you just showed us cornerstone. And pyramids are not the only structures that have cornerstones.
I know, but brother, what shape is a cornerstone?
It doesn't tell you what shape a cornerstone is. If it's in a corner, it has to be cut. Listen, if it's in a corner,
one at a time.
Now hold on. Now I'm gonna speak for a minute. Y'all don't. I'm telling you. If y'all want to learn the Bible,
look, the brother asked a question, and then when I answer the question, he cut me off. You asked a question, and then when I answer the question, he cut me off. You asked me what's the shape of a cornerstone. I said it doesn't say, but listen, I said it doesn't say, but if it's in a corner, if you're gonna fit it into a corner, it would have to be cut to the shape to fit a corner, like if it's a wall, if it's a circle, or not a circle don't got corners. If it's an angle, like at an angle, it's gonna form like a triangle automatically. But any structure that's shaped like a square at the base, if you stick and if you look up the ancient Hebrew temple, it had a square shape. So you can stick a corner. But let me finish.
These are the blocks of a pyramid.
Let me finish though. Let me finish. This is what you. Let me see. Sal, see how the brother can't even let you finish. That's why we'll never accomplish nothing, because he'll ask a question and then he'll cut you off, and then then you ask him a question and he answers it with a question. You follow what I'm saying? That's confusing. This is what you're doing. This is the question right here. We all agree that all structures have a cornerstone, something that holds it in place. We all agree that a pyramid is not the only building structure. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is, if you're telling us this is the cornerstone for a pyramid, and everybody on here with common sense know that pyramids were not the only structures in ancient times, you have to prove to us that when it says cornerstone, it means specifically for a pyramid, and not for a Hebrew temple, and not for African huts, and not for the Taj Mahal, and not for the ancient Chinese temples. You just can't pick a culture and say, we're going to make this be the cornerstone for the buildings built in a whole different culture. Not the Hebrew. We're going to jump all the way to Egypt and assume that a cornerstone that a Hebrew Israelite is talking about is referring to an Egyptian structure, even though from the time of Jesus all the way back to the time of the ancient Hebrews, ain't nobody said nothing about no pyramids as far as the Hebrew Israelites looking to them chiefly as representing their architecture. So you have to show us.
I apologize. It's almost 10 o'clock, and I know Rose got to go to work real soon. So, LeVar, I know you got to work, work and everything. And once again, we apologize to people out there that couldn't tune into the full debate. Hopefully, in the near future, we can have this going on. But it's a good dialogue. I'm gonna let the brothers. Well, actually, somebody pressed number one. Now, if we press number one, let's go to the phone lines. Let's see what they got to say. 240-316. You're live in air.
Well, I think you got
240. How you doing? Can you hear me? 240. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on, man? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Got a question? I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Yeah, all right. We got too many background noise for that caller. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. We're gonna pretty much wrap up the show. I'm gonna get a brief little final words for the panel, before we wrap it up. But anybody have any questions or comments real quick, you can chime in. You know that number, 646-716-7320. All right, so nobody else press number one. Everybody that's listening, I want to let the brothers get us, a few final words. Not too long-winded, but just brief final words before we wrap it up. Let me go to Amen. Amen, guys. Some final words.
Hey, what's up, Sal Showtime? I want to thank you for hosting this event, and Brother Josh and Brother LeVar for all y'all showing up. But like I said, Christians to Kemet, they're babies in the mystery. They don't know their own scriptures. Bro Josh knows a little bit, but they're so attached to this Hebrew Israelite thing that I think it blinds them to other concepts. And so what they're doing is they're trying to demonize Kemet, and make Kemet look bad and make it seem like Kemet is worthless to latch onto this Israelite thing, which is a myth. The Bible is not a literal book. I'm saying that the entire Bible is mythology. I don't think any of it is a historical document. And they're taking Egyptian gods as proof of homosexuality. It's myth. Abraham puts his hand under someone's thigh to swear an oath to God. Does that mean Abraham's gay? No, it's mythology. It's allegory. So I don't know how these brothers have all this wisdom and they can understand the chief cornerstone is an allegory for Jesus, but they can't understand that setting his semen is an allegory for something bigger. And then they're like, well, we can't show that to the kids. Well, you're not European kids. That's Europeans that have a taboo against human sexuality, because obviously the God that created human beings created semen. See what I'm saying? So it's nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about. So I don't know. And that's another topic. I'm just saying that when I have my material together, I hope all three of them are together, because they're all going to get ate up all together, and they're going to learn that Kemet is supreme.
I'm in Sultan. Appreciate you. Let's go to Antoine and LeVar. Go ahead. Last words.
Hey, that was funny. He's right, though. There's a difference. Yes, we are attached to our Bibles, but it's one thing that we have that, like I said earlier, before he heard, we're actually pretty well educated over here at ABT, and I don't say that like it's to brag or to boast or anything like that, but we do have some educated brothers. We have an educated teacher, and we don't just study. We study our culture. We study it with logic and reasoning. We understand logical fallacies. We understand figures of speech. We understand allegories. You know what I'm saying? I want to say we get to practice these things on a regular from studying. We understand the difference when things are put into place and there is an allegory or when it's real and when it's not. Even if you want to believe the whole Bible is allegory, you don't see examples of gay stuff happening in. Just say you don't even believe the whole thing. But how many times can you go in there and it tells you stuff about it's okay to be gay when it actually in that same book that you say is all allegory, it specifically tells you don't be a homosexual. It specifically tells you that. But you say it's all allegory, but then one day it says just because somebody places his hand under a thigh, if you actually did some historical research and actually understood, that's how people swore oaths back then. And people don't even understand it. That's where we get our word testify from. It comes from a Latin word from testicles. Back when people, and it's a bunch of ancient cultures when they used to swear oaths. We swear on the Bible now. We go to swear and we go to testify. We put our hand on the Bible. Back then they swear oaths different ways in different cultures, and that was also in Egyptian cultures, all kind of ancient cultures. Nothing gay about it. But anyway, man, I just wanted to. I wish I'm kind of like back on Josh's side, and I was looking forward to it. But after tonight, like listening to some of this stuff, it's kind of like it's ridiculous. It's like. It's kind of like pointless, but because like it's hard. You can't make somebody see something they don't want to see, but you can still reason with somebody who's educated, understands that what thing. Like if I ask you, can I see your hat? You say I got a hat and I got a shirt, and I say, well, I see the shirt, but I don't see your hat. Well, yeah, well, look at my shirt. Like, no, I want to see the hat, and that's basically what he just did. He never showed us the hat. We want to see the corner, the capstone, or whatever he was saying. We want to see that part. And then where's the corner of the pyramid? You're just adding things into the text. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that, dude. That's dishonest. That's disingenuous. You can't really do things like that. I'll leave it to LeVar, man. Shalom, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, shalom, with Brother LeVar here real quick. And you guys have seen a perfect example of how you can actually read whatever you want into the text. Whenever there's allegory in the Bible, you can make it whatever your heart wants it to be. And the problem with other brothers, like I said before, when you try to fuse paganism and a pagan culture with the Hebrew Israelite faith, and we ain't saying that the Hebrew Israelites didn't delve into paganism, but now what you're doing is you're blaspheming because you're sitting there saying, oh, Jesus Christ is a representation of the pyramids, and basically this is our whole homage to Egypt. There's nobody that is getting pyramid worship from Acts chapter 4 and 11 or the other text he brought out. The fact of the matter is people see writings outside of the Bible that testify of Jesus Christ walking this earth as a literal man, but they want to make him allegory. Just like Brother Antoine said, the Bible literally says don't be doing homosexual acts or bestiality. He wants to make that allegory. And when I brought up Aleister Crowley earlier, he understood where I was going. When people read that Egyptian literature and they do things like Aleister Crowley was doing, because he was reading that Egyptian crap, look what happened to him. He was engaging in all kinds of sex rituals based on the pagan gods of Egypt. And he keeps on saying, you guys trying to make him literal gods. No, we're not. We know it's mythology. But what about the men who were writing about these gay gods? What was they thinking about? Get out of here with all that allegorical talking about semen and all that stuff is nasty, man. I wouldn't even want my daughter reading that junk. But anyway, shalom.
By the way, what I'm going to do is the interviews that, for those who probably missed the interviews on Global Media Inc. and on LaRon Campbell's channel, I'm going to put it in the description box on YouTube, though. In the description box on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. Also, all the brothers' information. That if you want to reach out to the brothers, you can go to the description box and go check that out. So, final words, Brother Josh. Go ahead.
Appreciate that, Sal. And let me just say for the record, and I say this with all due respect, but from an academic standpoint of view, Amun Sutin is a moron. And I just mean from an academic standpoint of view. I'm not talking about the man general's intelligent. I think generally he's a very intelligent brother. But when he calls himself going to a library and trying to study on college level stuff, the guy's a moron. And let me show you why. Cornerstone, this is the definition of it. Cornerstone, you can look this up in any definition. A cornerstone is actually the opposite of a capstone. So basically what this brother's trying to do tonight is trying to make y'all believe that up is down and down is up. And let me show you. Cornerstone, a stone that forms the base of a corner of a building joining two walls. Base, that means the bottom. Cap means the top. These are synonyms for cornerstone. Foundation. Y'all know foundations don't start you don't build a building from the top and work your way down. Foundation starts from the bottom. I've heard this crazy stuff before. Cornerstone is the opposite of capstone. Anybody can look this stuff up. If you can't look this stuff up and see that, you are a moron. Academically, this brother's a moron. I'm telling y'all. Common sense, intellectually, smart as a whip. But when he tried to call himself studying stuff, he never was instructed how to really study. Cornerstone, foundation, basis, keystone, mainspring, mainstay, linchpin, bedrock. Where do you find bedrock at? Bedrock is like when you dig real deep and you hit the bedrock. Notice all this stuff is talking about stuff that's on the bottom, not the top. Base, backbone, key, centerpiece, core, heart, center, crux, like the crux of the matter. None of which represents a cap. Cap, top, cornerstone, bottom. They're opposites of each other. So don't try to come on here and try to tell us that day is night and night is day. We're not stupid. Unlike you, the debate talk for you audience, and ABT, we know how to look stuff up and get definitions. Number two, the guy's going to try to say it's all allegorical with the Egyptian mythology. To you it is, but the ancient Egyptians literally believed in these gods. That's why they built temples to them. That's why they sacrificed to them. That's why they had rituals. You don't perform rituals and make sacrifices to an ideal, to a concept. You know what I'm saying? You don't go to work to earn money for an allegorical bill. If the bill is not real, then you're not going to go do a real job to try to pay it. This guy don't know the difference between, don't know how to distinguish between allegorical and literal. But even if we just accept his view that the whole thing with horrors and sex was allegorical to represent something else, you still have to explain why would they use homosexuality to explain that. Why would you use homosexuality as a metaphor? And why would you take God who are homosexual if you are against that and make homosexuality a positive thing and then you worshiping that God? It makes no sense, sisters and brothers. Why would I make my God ingest semen and get pregnant if me myself am against that? I am against one man putting his semen on another man, and especially eating it. I'm against that. Why would I make my God go through that and then turn around and worship that same God? Come on, y'all. Stop listening to these people that's trying to justify stuff and explain stuff away when they can see it's nasty and corrupt and try to use it to try to say, well, it's just an allegory. Now it's a metaphor. Now it's a metaphor. When it's all nasty and corrupt, now it's a metaphor. This guy, this academic moron, even said Jesus didn't exist. I don't believe he existed at all. He's talked about outside the Bible in history as a literal man. See, this guy right here is a complete waste of time. He have proved stuff. He'll show you one thing, and then he'll fill in the gaps with his own rhetoric and philosophy and try to make you think that's the truth too. That's what the devil does. The devil gives you some truth, and then he fill in the blanks. That's all that brother doing. When he said, I can show you cornerstone and capstone. What did me and LeVar say? Go right ahead. He showed the cornerstone. We said we'll agree. We said, now show us the capstone. All of a sudden, the Bible closes. And all of a sudden, let me ask you a question. Wait a minute. When it was time to show the cornerstone, you go on the scripture. When it's time to show the capstone, let me ask you a question. Wait, no. You can't do that. You can't claim both can be shown from the Bible, and then when it's time to show the other, all of a sudden now you want to get all philosophical and make up definitions. That's it, sisters and brothers. I just wanted to let y'all know what this guy is doing is nothing. He loves to hear himself talk. He loves to fill in the blanks. And then he tries to look at you and say, you don't understand. How can anybody understand what's going on in your head? That's your head, bruh. That's something you making up. That'll be like me dealing with my wife. You know what I'm saying? I'm dealing with Lisa, and I have a bad day at work, and she come in, and she like, what's wrong? And I be like, it's your fault. And she like, what are you talking about? You don't understand. How could she? Ain't telling her nothing. That's in my head. That's what he does. He conjures stuff in his head and then look at you like you dumb because you don't follow it. You just made it up. How can anybody follow it? So be on the lookout for the documentary and the information in it that refute academic morons like my guy, because that's what he is. I'm not saying he's a moron in general. I think the brother is very intelligent. I think if he actually learned how to really study, because a lot of brothers are intelligent, but they never learn how to really study, and get out their own egos and stop thinking they're so self-important and let the research tell it all. You know what I'm saying? Let the research tell it all instead of trying to fill in the blanks yourself. It's not hard. Cornerstone is the foundation. Capstone is on the top. They are opposites of each other. Stop trying to tell people that up is down and down is up. We're not falling for it. We're not academic morons like you. That's it, Sal.
Let's go to 646-399. You're live in air. Six 4-6-399. Can you hear me?
I had it on mute. Hey, what's going on? Am I heard loud and clear?
Yeah, what's happening, brother? Yeah, you kind of low. You sound kind of low though.
Oh man. Well,
there you go.
Peace. I sound better now. Just got to project a little bit.
Yeah, sound better now.
All right, cool. So peace, everybody. Shalom. I just here to support support Brother LaVar, Debate Talk for You, and the Absolute Bible Truth family, and give my little just a small commentary on documentary. I have watched Josh's documentary, and there's a lot of good information on it. It's a compact crash course on a specific topic concerning Egypt, but it's very needed and necessary in today's day and age. It's a lot of good information, and the information I while I'm watching it, I'm checking up on the information, making sure stuff is correct, and like it's things that I wouldn't have found prior because I was just so ignorant. So now that I know what to look for, I can actually find it and just kind of check it out for myself and see it for myself and read for myself and the different takes on it. And that's just one of the benefits of this documentary is just enlightening yourself as far as Egypt goes, because it definitely focuses on Egypt. I learned a whole lot as far as the different sources and texts and ancient writings on the pyramids and the coffin texts, what they actually are, that there's their spells and what their purpose is. So I suggest anybody who's something like me, that's basically a novice as far as Egypt goes, to check it out and just eat up the information, because it's good information. You could check for yourself, and then it kind of as the title suggests, it kind of exposes something that there's a group of people that would rather not be exposed. You know what I'm saying? For whatever the benefit is, and it catches them like straight up, like in their lives on video, contradicting themselves, contradicting the text, them being fully aware of what it says, but still just lying on purpose to mask the truth. And that should be a great concern to anybody, really. It's definitely dedicated to Hebrew Israelites, but it's dedicated to believers in general. And honestly, it's dedicated to those that follow the Kemetic science, but just was unaware, because they kind of just fall back on what the teachers, the Kemetic teachers and priests teach, and they don't really focus on. I haven't really seen much lessons like how LaVar probably do, come out and prove some points, and he'll read some verses from the Bible and just to substantiate his point. Well, you don't really see that with Kemetic teachers nowadays. They don't read from the ancient texts, the pyramid scrolls and the coffin text.
Yeah, I apologize for the cutoff. I just got notification that Asar is ready to get this debate started. But before we do that, I know that he knows some of the brothers that were mentioned. I believe he knows some of the brothers like Team Osiris or whatever. We're going to hear a little bit from Asar before we begin the debate. Hold on, let me open up his phone line. Asar, can you hear me? MK.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Before we get started, I know you heard a lot of the content. Anything you want to address, and do you know, any of the brothers that were mentioned as far as the conversation is concerned, and what's your relation with them? Go ahead.
I know actually all of the brothers in some form or fashion or another, which, I'm glad he mentioned like Jonathan Owens because I'm part of the Seshuni Medunetzer group, which is, we call us the true scribes of Kemet, the faithful scribes of Kemet. My brother Wu Jiao, my brother Jonathan Owens over there, the brother Anka Kek, me and him and Sanjetti just had a conversation the other night. So I'm glad that he's saying this with a bold heart because, as you say, you want to discuss it openly with them. I'm going to let them know and see if they give you that chance and that opportunity to do so. A couple other things that I'm just kind of looking at concerning what he's saying. I'm like, who goes to Kemet to look for gay stuff? It's just very strange on a man's part. When you go to a civilization, you generally go to look for their morality, which he mentioned earlier. You should have built on the morality, not like a small nuance that happens. That's like me opening up the book of the Bible or even the Septuagint and starting off with, okay, David loves this guy. David's having, or if I start off the book with, look at what the Benjamites did. How could I possibly want to be or Sodom and Gomorrah, really? You don't open the Bible in that fashion. You should have a more ma'at virtue about yourself. You should go in there to try to get the essentials of the Bible and then look at the fact that all these Hebrews in the Bible are doing homosexual acts. Maybe not all the Hebrews in the book are right. Some of them are just, some of them are this or that. Though whatever he brings up, I'm pretty sure they'll be ready to refute. And once I look at his DVD, I'll probably be ready to refute it as well. Because when it comes to the text, generally I get pretty busy. But aside from that, I just, I think it's kind of strange. Every time I run into a Hebrew, the first thing they do is run the homosexuality. And when you look at the Bible, who's the most homosexual in it when it comes to the verses? It's the Hebrew people, the Israelites in the book. So it's just and that's just by percentage. That's not a doubt in what I'm saying. That's just an actual fact. So it's very strange that the behavior continues when they critique other cultures. It's just a very strange look. But if that's how he gets down, then that's how he gets down. More power to Brother Josh. I hope he sells a lot of DVDs. Do what you do. We'll be back for another discussion.
All right, that's Brother Asar MK right there, right here inside the Lions Den Debate Talk Radio. All right, so we're going to get this thing started. Asar, you can go ahead, brother.
Didi Necharu, Nesu, Ial Amenra, Uncle Jasanel, E.T. Ba'u Emra, Asaru, Dua, Uncle Jasanel. Praise due to the Nesu of the Necharu, Amen Ra, life, strength, and health. Greetings to all the Sarus watching, all souls watching, all souls in Ra. Thank you for joining the Brother Sal this evening, and life, strength, and health to you all. Tonight's discussion is morality, the Bible, or Ramet's lifestyle, even though it says Egyptology. That's just a study on Kemet. Let's first define morality. Principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior. Synonyms: ethics, rights, wrongs, ethicality, particular system of values and principles of conduct, especially one held by a specified person or society. Okay? So that's what we're covering this evening. And basically, I'm here to show you the Remetz lifestyle, so that you're not afraid of it, so that shock jocks, if you will, like my brother Joshua, no disrespect, who would first observe homosexuality in Kemet instead of observing its morality, its righteousness, the things that it can do for your life and heal you. So the first thing I want to introduce you to is the name of the people that I represent. Heck in the chair. Praises of the divine. That's the morality system that I use. We listen to Netchair first in the form of deities that form the cosmogony and cosmology in ancient Kemet. Second, we listen to the Netchair in the form of the Netcharu, or the different aspects and principles of life and the form of Ra that surrounds you that are on the earthly and spiritual and mental planes. Third, we take the example of the Nasuf, the king, and whoever was deemed right as a ruler at that time in Kemet, because they're the founders and the holders and the upholders of a word I'll talk about in a second. Fourth, we follow the Sesh, that's the scribes, who put forth the guidance and the understanding for what Netcha wants done and how to do it. We deduce all these things by a word called Ma'at or Mayat. We go to the creation story for this information concerning our makeup. So let me kind of introduce people who may have never heard the creation story. Let me show you how it's embedded. The book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and overthrowing the pep. I'll refrain from using a lot of metal Netcha tonight. These are the words which the Netcharu, Neb Chair, Lord to the uttermost limit, spake after he had come into being. He said, I am he who came into being in the form of the Netcha Kepera, and I am the creator of that which came into being. That is to say, I am the creator of everything which came into being. Now the things which I created and which came forth out of my mouth after that I had came into being myself were exceedingly many. The sky or heaven, the pet, had not come into being. The earth did not exist, and the children of the earth and the creeping things had not been made at that time. I myself raised them up from out of the new, from a state of helpless inertness. I found no place whereon I could stand. I worked a charm upon my own heart or will. I laid the foundation of things by Ma'at, and I made everything which had form. So we know the moral code which everything that has a form should go by is Ma'at. If you don't have a form, you may not have Ma'at, but you probably do, and we'll cover that later possibly. Everything with a form and exists, seen or unseen, is brought forth by Ma'at, which is truth, morality, sight, and a few other things. A Remetz doesn't really have to guess much, but they do need to research much, and we can always consult the Tipawi or the Aku. We call those the ancestors concerning these things. They left plenty of information for us. Our family structure is based off of the Netcharu and the folklore given behind them. Their stories are monumental, engraved in stones as a reminder to all. We can take simple parables like Kagimnai says of the unsociable man that he's grief to his mother, and another moralist around the 20th so-called dynasty about 2700 BC. The person named Eni states explicitly on the matter. He talks to his son saying, I gave you your mother, she that bore you with much suffering. She placed you at the chamber of instruction for the sake of your instruction in books. She was constant to you daily, having loaves and beer in her house. When you are grown and have taken for yourself a wife, being master in your house, cast your eyes on the one that gave you birth and provide you with all good things, as did your mother. Let her not reproach you, lest she lift up her hands to the Netcha and he hear her prayer. So already you can hear that we are about a family-oriented system. We are about keeping good kith and kin, and we must respect our parents. Speaking of prayers, we have plenty when we say homage to you, O Neb of the Aku, of Anu, and of heavenly being in Kir Abba, Necher Unti, who are more glorious than the Necheru, who are hidden in Anu. Oh, grant you unto me a path whereon I may pass in peace, for I am just and Ma'a Keru. That means true of voice. I have not spoken lies wittingly, nor have I done aught with deceit. So you know our morality system is Ma'at, and I'm going to end there because that's the doorbell. That means it's time. We'll talk.
LeVar, you can go ahead.
Peace to everybody listening. Thanks, Brother Sal. Let's get right into this. Notice that the brother mentioned one story of the creation account in Kemet, but what he's not telling you is there are multiple stories in Kemet about how this world was formed. We'll get into that later. First, I want to establish what I believe because this is the opening statement. Number one, I do believe love conquers all, and I do believe that if me and him are not speaking in love to the people and bring us up to edification tonight, everything that we're saying is in vain. I'm going to start off by going to 1 Corinthians 13:1. It says, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, which is love, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. So what does this mean? If you ain't speaking tonight with love, whether it's him, me, Josh, any other brothers calling in, if you ain't speaking with love in mind, then you just making a bunch of noise, like a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. Verse number 2, and though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, which is love, I am nothing. So I come in peace, love, hotep, all that, shalom, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want. The whole point is we're supposed to be speaking in love and in truth tonight. Number one, if there is no Yahweh, then everything is permitted because he created the moral code. If there is no Yah, then neither the believer nor non-believer has lives that are any ultimate moral significance. And morality is just an expression of personal taste or social convention. What best accounts for the fact that we know what's absolutely wrong or absolutely right? What is it? If you ask an atheist, some of them would say morality is illusory, which means it doesn't even exist. It's fake. There are things we ought to do as well as things we ought not to do. As an unbeliever who affirms absolute morality, what I need from that person is an explanation of moral accountability. Who do you answer to for your wrongdoing? And who holds you accountable for your shortcomings? God's nature determines what's good. He is the paradigm of moral goodness. This nature is manifested to us through his commandments. There's a heavy cost in giving up your belief in God. There is no confidence that good will win out in the end, which is redemption. If you have done something terribly wrong and you know it was bad, there's nothing that can ever erase that or make it right again because there is no redemption. I'm not saying that the unbeliever can't live a good moral life. I'm simply saying he or she has no justification or reason that their version of morality can be grounded in any absolutes because that's why God, on the other hand, is the foundation for morality, objectivity. Because otherwise, you have your own set of morals that are based on your own personal opinion. But then you might have another person come along and tell you your moral code is okay, but there are some things that you might deem wrong that they might think is okay. Both of these people have no foundation without God. Our Bible tells you that God is not a man that he should lie in Numbers 23:19. Deuteronomy 4:24 says, for the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. Why is he a jealous God? Well, if you read the stories in the Bible, it's quite evident that he showed his glory and all his love to the Israelites, and they continued to go after these false gods. That's what they did. And this is exactly why he was upset with and why he called himself jealous here. If you don't start with the unchanging nature of God, you can't have anything. You can't establish truth. All you can do is argue in circles. Everybody would then base every action they commit on sheer opinion. The Most High is the past, present, and the future. So the base morality and its foundation or anything else is to treat morality like a house built on quicksand. What you will have is a foundation that is forever unstable, and anything that you try to build on it will always be unfit to stand on. The truth is, most people don't want to be held accountable for the wrong they do. I've even heard people say, if there is a God, and he is the judge, why won't he just leave us alone and mind his business? What's funny is, he does leave us alone. He doesn't force anyone to love him. What he does is bless us and gives us mercy and grace that we don't deserve. This is the equivalent of a man who wants a relationship with a female, and he gives her flowers and gifts just to remind her that he's interested in her. The reason why people can't see this fundamental fact is because of all the ignorance and other distractions this world has to offer. God continually reaches out to mankind through his word, which imputes righteousness for the nations, but the nations would rather turn their attention to foolishness. What am I talking about? Well, let's see if any of this sounds familiar. Strip clubs, stupid reality shows like Love and Hip Hop and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, trap houses, juke joints and after-hour spots, rock concerts, where a lot of the women are degrading themselves, twerking, and the men neglecting their children because they rather go out with his goons and get high and drunk. Now, I know everybody ain't doing all these things, and I'm not saying you can't have a good time, but what I'm saying is we have too many distractions. You know another distraction out here that's dumbing a lot of people down and getting people away from the truth of God? Social media, Facebook, World Star, YouTube channels like Sonatter TV. Yeah, I said it. Brothers on there teaching lies like a woman can naturally have a baby with no man. Not supernaturally, but naturally. Teaching lies saying Europeans gave us the Bible with no facts. Not understanding that the scriptures and the faith was spread to Africans thousands of years before a transatlantic slave trade even existed. You have other deeper distractions like New Age philosophy, Satanism, paganism, esoteric and Kundalini knowledge, astrotheology, abstract notions, occult science, alchemy, extrasensory perception, tarot cards, Ouija boards, chaos magic, the Kabbalah, Neoplatonism, Scientology, theory of evolution, Wicca, Nazism, magnetism, etc., etc. All these things were designed to keep your mind off the one true God and his holy standards. Thank you.
All right, we have more and more people joining into the show. Again, this is Debate Talk Radio. The Bible versus Egyptology. What's the moral foundation is the title of this debate. You know that number by now, 646-716-7320. Calling via phone and via Skype. But it's a reminder, we're going to hear from the people out there. And we're going to hear from you guys. Just got to press number 1. Once you dial that number, we'll add you in the conversation. So we're going to go to the first rebuttal part of this debate. It's going to be 6 minutes each. Let's go back to my brother Sar. You can go ahead.
My brother Laban brought up some good things today, so I'm just going to kind of build off of them because he's right. It should be good-natured tonight. You can make your judgment off the morals that we present to you, but honestly, we're just trying to bring you some good morals, some good values so that you can get induced with them so that your life changes. I go to Ptah Maxims. Even concerning our discussion this evening, there's some rules I have to follow. From the Maxims, be not proud because you are learned, but discourse with the ignorant man as with the sage. For no limit can be set to skill, neither is there any craftsman that possesses full advantages. Fair speech is more rare than the emerald that is found by slave maidens on the pebbles. Number 2, if you find an arguer talking, one that is well disposed and wiser than you, let your arms fall, bend your back, be not angry with him. If he agree not with you, refrain from speaking evilly. Oppose him not at any time when he speak. If he address you as one ignorant of the matter, your humbleness shall bear away his contentions. Simple as that. Now, the main focus should be raising your children. The maxim number 9 is, the maxim is given to us, the command is given, it says, if you would be a wise man, beget a son for the pleasing of the nature. If he make straight his course after your example, if he arrange your affairs in due order, do unto him all that is good, for your son is he. begotten of your own soul. Sunder not your heart from him, or your own begotten shall curse thee. If he be heedless and trespass thy rules of conduct, your rules of conduct that you set up, and is violent, if every speech that comes from his mouth be a vile word, then beat him, because he's worthy of that, obviously. That is his talk may be fitting. Keep him from those that make light of that which is commanded, for it is they that make him rebellious, and they that are guided go not astray, but they that lose their bearings cannot find a straight course. Let's go further. If thou be in the chamber of council, act always according to the steps enjoined on thee at the beginning of the day. Be not absent, or thou shalt be expelled, but be ready in entertaining and making report. Wide is the seat of one that have made address. The council chamber act by strict rule, and all its plans are in accordance with method. It is the nature that advance one to seat therein. The like is done for elbowers. So that's a shout out to the presidency right now. We need them to be content and well-mannered in their seats and more understanding of the people, especially the people. You see black kids out here getting slain, and then their main focus for them is for you to go vote on Trump or Hillary, who care nothing about your black life. That's something for them in particular of how to treat that council chamber and how they should act by rule and strictness. They should be on these police's heads, and they're not, so we should be on their heads. Let's go deeper. If thou be among people, make for thyself love, the beginning and end of the heart. One that know not his course shall say in himself, seeing you, he that order himself dully become the owner of wealth. I shall copy his conduct. Thy name shall be good. Thou that speak not, thy body shall be fed. Thy face shall be seen among thy neighbors. Thou shalt be provided with what thou lack. As to the man whose heart obey his belly, he causes disgust in place of love. His heart is wretched. His body is gross. He is insolent towards those endowed of the nature. He that obey his belly have an enemy. So right there, chasing all this wealth, chasing all this money, that's not the way to be. Trying to do what you see on television, as my man LeVar said earlier, that will make you nasty. That will make you insidious. That will make you a eyesore to the people. So these are some of the morals that ancient Kemet, the Tipawi, your ancestors present to you, and these are some of the things that you should hearken to and adhere to. I'll stop right there.
All right, so let's jump right into it. Let's go to LeVar with his first rebuttal. Go ahead.
Thanks, Sal. Now, since the brother threw out some principles of Kemet, and I thought they were all beautiful, I had to direct my Hebrew brothers and sisters to something that is not being taught, that needs to be taught. We had a beautiful class on this. It's called the Universal Law. Let's go to Job 32:8. And the reason why you can hear the brother speak righteousness and he's a Cometian is because guess what? This is what God imputed to all mankind. You brothers out there telling people that the other nations didn't have nothing coming and God created these people just to be destroyed. That's a lie from the pits of hell. Let's look at the book, Job 32:8, and it says, but there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives them understanding. This right here is not exclusive to only black folks. It's not exclusive to the Chinese. It's not exclusive to the Mexicans, the Haitians. You understand what I'm saying? This is all of mankind because the Most High created all. Genesis 2:7, it says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. That word breath in the Hebrew comes from 5397 in your Strongs, and that's the Hebrew word neshama, which is it translates into puff, i.e. a wind, divine inspiration. That means an intellect. So when God formed man in the beginning, he gave mankind an intellect. This is how we know right from wrong. This is how this brother can go into the ancient Cometian doctrine and he could teach righteousness because it was not exclusive to Israel. Let me repeat that again. It was not exclusive to Israel. You got too many brothers teaching that only Israel this, only Israel that. No, the Most High is a God of equity. Let's go to Psalms 9, 7 and 8. It says, but the Lord abides forever. He has established his throne for judgment, and he will judge the world in righteousness. He will execute judgment for the people with equity. You understand that? It says, and he will judge the world in righteousness. It didn't say he was just going to judge a certain group of people because of the color of their skin in a certain manner. Kind. You understand? Equity comes from 43:39, Meshar in your Strongs. The Hebrew word Meshar. And it's evenness, uprightness, straightness, level, rightly. Job 34:12 says, surely God will not act wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice. The only people perverting justice out here is corrupt lawyers, corrupt legal systems, corrupt spiritual systems, because what they want to do is pick and choose who they want to be let in their little groups. But that's not how God judges, and that's not how we are supposed to be judging if he's the moral standard. Job 4:17, shall mortal man be more just than God? That's a question. Shall mortal man be more just than God? No way. And y'all already see what's going on in this earth and how man does not judge with equity and fairness and equality. Look at the transatlantic slave trade. And then after that, the Jim Crow laws came about. What was going on between whites and blacks in this country? Somebody was being treated unfairly. But that does not negate the fact that our Hebrew forefathers broke the commandments and curses was put on them. God uses nations to put them in slavery if they don't want to obey. I think that's a half-baked doctrine when brothers want to sit up here and talk about, oh, well, the white man did this, the white. But, dude, it was our fault in the first place, according to the biblical text, if you believe it, right? And the rest of the verse says, shall a man be more pure than his maker? Come on, y'all, let's get serious. We serve a God of equity. We don't serve a God who says, I only like this group of people, I only love this group of people. No, he says he's going to judge the world in righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 17, for the Lord your God is a God of gods and the Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty, a terrible, which regardeth not persons nor taketh for war. You cannot bribe God. You will never be able to bribe God because he owns this whole world. This world is his estate. He regardeth not persons. He does not care if you are a Hebrew Israelite. If you're not doing what he said do, you get cut off. That's what the book teaches. Now let me go establish more of this universal law. Let's go to Sirach in the Apocrypha. We're gonna go to Sirach 17:1. The Lord created man of the earth and turned him into it again. And then let's read verse 11. It says, besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an inheritance. He did this for mankind. This is why I can agree with the brother right here when he's talking righteousness. I would never disagree with a man who's talking righteousness, but I will disagree with him on who he calls the creator. That's the conflict that we got. Now, in order to establish who serves the true God, we got to look at the creation account of the gods. And with that, I'm going to yield. But when I come back, we got to get into this stuff he's not telling you. Peace out.
All right, people, welcome to the Lion's Den. Once again, it's the Lion's Den segment of Debate Talk for You, the Bible versus Egyptology. What's the moral foundation? Again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Let's jump to the second rebuttal part of this debate. Again, it's going to be 6 minutes each. Let's go back to Asar. Asar, you can go ahead.
All right. I'm going to build a little bit off of the brother's story. Of course, we're going to have some funky moments. I'll save those for later. But let's go in. If you want your conduct to be perfect, deliver yourself from every evil and combat against the greed of the heart. It is a grievous sickness without cure, impossible to penetrate. It causes disaster among fathers and mothers, among the brothers of the mother, and parts wife from husband. It is an amalgam of all evils, a bundle of all hateful things that man endures who correctly applies ma'at and walks according to his stride. He will make a will by it. The greedy of heart has no tomb. So it's telling you right there, you need to be very careful of your conduct. You need to keep ma'at. You should not be greedy of heart, and you won't inherit a tomb if you do so, a place of burial. Nobody will want to bury you. But not only that, let's talk about the estate. My man mentioned the estate. Let's talk about the proper way to inherit one. First, let's go to Maxim 28. If thou be the son of a man of the priesthood and an envoy to conciliate the multitude, speak thou without favoring one side. Let it not be said, his conduct is that of the nobles, favoring one side in his speech. Turn thy aim toward exact judgments. So don't be one-sided. Keep a balanced heart. That's what you always see in Kemet. You see that balance? Stay balanced. Let's talk about an estate. The book of Kahun, Garub, and Hawara, settlement made by the Seb priest, Ua, recital of his will here, copy of the will, by the Sahu, the Peneb, or the Neb of the Neb, the Lord, and the architect Ankarin. Year 44, Pani, day 19. He's probably in the Menhamat III's era, length of reign. Anyway, his will made by the Sahu, blah, 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 blah. All my property in the garden and in the town shall belong to my brother, the Seb priest of Sepdu, Lord of the East, Shepset, Ahi Seneb, called Ua. I command all my friends belong to this my brother. A copy of this was deposited as a document in the hall of the second reporter of the king in the year 44, Pani, day 19. So right there, you see in our system, we should definitely be writing wills for our family. This is part of our moral code. Your brother, your mother, your sister should all inherit. Let's talk about more of the settlement. Settlement made by the sub-priest of Sebdu, Lord of the Shetu, called Teta, of all property which my brother, and the Teta is the backbone of the Saw if you don't know, the Sahu is the imperishable soul, the Pe'ab, I'm not going to say everything, Ab is heart, of the architect Ankh Ren, his name is Ankh, gave to me each thing according to its place, whether it is to be found. From among what he gave to me, she may give it to any whom she pleases of her children, whom she shall bear to me, talking about his wife. Also, I give to her the servants, 3 persons, which my brother, the Saki, the Pe'ab of the architect, will be buried in it with my wife, without allowing any person at all to reach it to be buried there. So he's taking care of his household and the people that worked for him. Let's not be silly. In ancient times, everyone had some servants. It is what it is. I can't go to an ancient culture who didn't have this. But as you can see, the servants are well-to-do to be buried with the lady of the house, without a doubt. Let's go a little further down. He gives stuff to his son as well. But let's look at an endorsement. This is another legal document. I don't have that much time. All right. So as we come back, we'll start talking about character, and we'll also talk about some of the scriptures that we find in the Bible that appear to be in Ramet's lifestyle. So funny that, the brother Joshua earlier mentioned that you shouldn't look into these things, but yes, you should look into all of these things. You may find your scripture resembles something in the Ramet's lifestyle. And I'm done.
Just a reminder, people, Season 7 of Debate Talk for You will officially begin September 23rd. Again, the brand new season for Debate Talk for You will begin September 23rd. We're going to have some new segments on the show. We have a lot of new things going on. We're trying to expand and do different things as far as segments are concerned. Of course, we're still going to have the Lion's Den, the Hot Seat, Round Table, things of the nature. But, we got some more more segments coming up. And, can't wait to let you guys know what's going on with that. But let's go to LeVar right about now. Again, it's the second rebuttal part of this debate. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brother Sal. And I love that the brother keeps quoting righteousness. It just warms my heart. And it's so funny, the Bible speaks about all these things. It talks about obeying your parents. Proverbs 1:8, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, forsake not the law of thy mother. You know what I'm saying? All these things he's talking about are beautiful. So I want to address one thing, though. I got to rewind. I was kind of salty at first, but I kind of understand why the brother said what he said about Brother Josh. And now y'all all know Brother Josh. He can hold his own. I really ain't got to speak for him. But nobody ever studied Kemet to look for homosexuality. When brothers come into a knowledge that they have to be spiritual, what we do is look after ancient cultures and see which one resonate with us the most. Now, we read about Kemet, and it has some very great precepts because, again, the Most High gave man this moral code. He put it in all men. And no matter what culture you come from, you're going to have righteous writings. The question we all need to be asking ourselves, who is the one true Elohim? Who is the one true Elohim? Who is the one true Lord, Master, ruler of this whole earth? Let me go to the Bible. How God formed this world and his creation. We got to start at the foundation. We can sit here and spew moral conduct all debate. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You have to start at the creation because that's where everything starts. That is the foundation. So let's go to Psalms 19:1. It says, the heavens declare the glory of the Lord, the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. The Bible say that the firmament show his handiwork. Let's go to Jeremiah 32:17. It says, Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for you. The Bible says that this world was created through God's power. Psalms 96:5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Idols. What is an idol? Anybody ever heard of that word before? I'm scratching my head. Oh, I've heard it. I've heard it many a time. Does the Bible talk about the Egyptian idols? Well, of course it does. I might quote some scripture, but let's go to mythology, the illustration, anthology of the world myth and storytelling. Let's go on page 20. Under the heading, The New Gods. Along the whole Nile Valley, all the way from Heliopolis to Elephantine Island, the process of creation was constantly reinterpreted. The Egyptians constantly reinterpreted the way this world was created. What is the first word that comes to y'all's mind? Confusion. That's the very first word that comes to my mind. And it reads, the old God, which is the group of 8 gods, the Need, which is the group of 9, Amun and Ta were the major protagonists in creation myths. But numerous other suggestions were put forward during the course of Egyptian history. Hold on, y'all. We're talking about morality here. And we got to talk about the foundation of morality. I believe the foundation of morality comes from a transcendent source that is way too incomprehensible and way too smart that mankind cannot figure out. I believe he can leave a word, but we can't comprehend God for real. But this is sitting here telling us that the Egyptians were not well versed in thought when it came to the creation stories. Let me skip down. And it says the religious all period contained evidence that the Egyptians were always occupied in trying to puzzle out the riddles of creation. I do believe my Bible. I do believe that mankind has a moral code put in them. The question is, who put it there? Now, if the Egyptians had a problem trying to figure out creation or how it was made or who did it, why would you lean towards that shaky foundation? The Bible is real clear. I just read the verses for y'all. It said he created with his power. We're going to go into the Egyptian text and we're going to find out what the Egyptians thought or how they thought this world was created. Thank you for listening.
Once again, people, you know that number, 646-716-7320. I see we have a couple people pressing number 1. I appreciate you guys. Want to hear from y'all later on. You know, if you have any questions or comments, you can hear from you live by dialing that number. Press number 1 and stand by for the Q&A segment. But let's go into the third rebuttal part of this debate. Let's go back to Asar MK. Asar, you can go ahead.
All right. My brother Laban mentioned some things about the Remet's lifestyle and how we know and that his God developed these things. But last time I checked, Remet's lifestyle came before the Christian lifestyle. So, of course, it's got to get a little funky. So let's look at Christian copyists a little bit. I'm glad he mentioned Proverbs and Psalms. Let's go right in. I'll quote Amen Imop, or Amen Imopi, and I'll quote Proverbs, Amen Imop, chapter 1. Give your ears and hear what is said. I'm going to go fast, so make sure you just rewind this when you hear the recording. Proverbs 22:17. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise. Amen Imop, chapter 1. Give your mind over to their interpretation. It is profitable to put them in your heart. Proverbs 22:17. And apply thine heart unto my knowledge. Amen Imop, chapter 6. Do not displace the surveyor's marker on the boundaries of the arable land. Proverbs 23:10. Remove not the old landmark and enter not into the fields of the fatherless. Amen Imop, chapter 7. If riches come to you by theft, they will not spend the night with you. They have made themselves wings like geese, and hey, fly up to the sky. Proverbs 23:5. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings, fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Let's keep going. Amen Imop, chapter 9. Do not fraternize with the hot-tempered man, nor approach him to converse. Proverbs 22:24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with the furious man thou shalt not go. Amen Imop, chapter 10. Netzer hates one who falsified words. His great abomination is duplicity, double talk. Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. Amen Imop, chapter 11. Do not covet the property of the dependent. Proverbs 22:22. Rob not the poor because he is poor. Amen Imop, chapter 13. Better it is to be praised as one loved by men than wealth in the storehouse. Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches and loving favor. Let's keep going. Amen Imop, chapter 17. Make not for yourself a measure of 2 capacities. Proverbs 20:23. Divers weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and a false balance is not good. Amen Imop, chapter 21. Do not circulate your words to others, nor fraternize with one who is too candid. Proverbs 20:19. He that goes about as a talebearer reveals secrets. Therefore, meddle not with him that flatter with lips. Now, you can understand copying. You can understand if these words are from God. He should have been able to make his own sentences. No disrespect to my brother Laban, but there's a lot of that going on. Let's go deeper. Let's go to Ptah and compare it to Proverbs 1-5, all right? Papyrus and 2 fragments in the British Museum, I believe that's where you can find these. Don't let Ptah, it's line 43, I think chapter 1. Don't let your heart get big because of your knowledge. Take counsel with the ignorant as well as with the scholar. Proverbs 1:5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning. Ptah, chapter 3, line 58. If you meet a disputant in his moment of action who is your equal, your peer, you will make your excellence exceed his by silence, even while he is speaking wrongly. Proverbs 17:14. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore, leave off contention before it be meddled with. I'll give you one more because I'm running out of time, but there's a bunch of them. Ptah, if you get to be among guests at the dining table of one greater than you, accept what he gives in the way it is set before your nose. Look at what is there before you. Proverbs 23:1. When thou sittest to eat with the ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. Ptahhotep, do not boast at your neighbor's side. One has great respect for the silent man. Proverbs 17:28. A fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his speech is an esteemed man. So I could go into the hymn, the Aten, and Psalm 104. I probably will in this next one. But obviously, if Netcher is writing, the Most High shouldn't have to copy. He's the Most High, right? I'm finished.
Just a reminder, the chat room is officially open, people. The chat room, you want to get access to the chat room, go to the website, blogtalkradio.com/debate talk for you. Click on this debate, the Bible versus Egyptology, and you can interact with me. You can even type in your questions. I will read them out later on during the Q&A segment. But let's go to LeVar. Again, it's the third rebuttal part of this debate. 6 minutes. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brother Sal. And from what you guys just heard, he just confirmed everything that I've already done told y'all. Oh, my goodness. The Most High's truth is everybody's truth. And all truth comes from the Most High. And guess who put that inside of mankind? The Most High. So if his text says something similar to the biblical text, which he really didn't slow down and break nothing down for y'all, then, oh my goodness, it just confirms what I've been saying. Every nation under heaven says, thou shalt not steal. Every nation under heaven says, thou shalt not kill. Every nation under heaven has laws that are very, very similar, and Proverbs. You can read African Proverbs all through the African continent. It's all good, bro. But see, the problem is you're not telling us about your gods. Since you won't, I will. See, the brother wants you to believe that, okay, since Kemet came before Christianity, then we should just roll back the clock and run to Kemet. But the problem is you had Coptic Christians. What is a Coptic Christian? That's an Egyptian Christian in the 1st century. I want everybody to think about this. Why didn't they run back to Kemet? Why didn't they serve their gods? Why didn't they? Ask yourself that question. Well, you know what? I'm going to answer it for you. Because you had Christians in the 1st century who believed in the Messiah, who lived in Egypt. You had Egyptians in the Old Testament that believed on Yah. But anyway, that's neither nor here nor there. Well, let me read this for you. Mythology of the Illustrated Anthology of World Myths and Storytelling by C. Scott Littleton. Let's talk about the god Noon. It says Noon was a craftsman. Unlike Memphis's Ptah, who thought be it to existence, he created from clay on his potter's wheel. So one of the creation stories says that this God created man from a potter's wheel. You ever see the movie Ghost? I know y'all are probably familiar with that. Remember when Demi Moore was shaping the pot on her wheel? That's one of the creation accounts in ancient Egypt. Let's look at the hymn of Noon. Let's see what else it says about him. He knotted the flow of blood to the bone for in his workshop as his handiwork. So he had a workshop? What else did he have in there? Anyway, so the breath of life is in everything. The text goes on to describe how he built the skull and created cheeks to give shape to the image, so on and so forth. Let's get something juicier. I already explained to y'all about the moral code. Again, if you're going to impute righteousness on this show, I'm all the way with you, bro. The question is, who put that in man? Who put those thoughts in man to write those similar precepts? Bro, you wasting time. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who's the true God? We already read how the Most High formed this earth. Let's go to your text. Let's look at the Book of the Dead by E.A. Budge, page 115. Let's look at Ptah. It says, in like manner, the priests of Ptah of Memphis claimed their god Ptah was the creator God of the heavens and the earth, and that the other great gods were merely forms of him. They were well aware that Temu had been regarded as the creator of the gods and the world and man from Egypt. So hold on, let me get this straight. So you have the priests of Memphis who claimed that Ptah was the supreme deity, and they were well aware that some Egyptians that lived in another land said Temu was. I'm confused. Which one of these are the true creators? See, y'all got to understand something about ancient Kemet.
These gods were regional gods. Their power didn't stretch forth from one side of the earth to the other. They were regional gods. But he want to sell you on the fact that, oh, the Bible comes from Kemet. I believe that you're going to find similar principles in every single nation. Let's look at the Book of the Dead, page 117. The book called Knowing How Ra Came into Being, and is told by the Egyptian god Nefertiti, the everlasting God of the universe. It is unknown where and how this God existed, but it's clear that he was supposed to have created himself and to be self-existing. So the Egyptians had another Most High God, and his name was Nefertiti. So what I'm saying to you is, people want to know who the true God is. Is it Nefertiti? Is it Ta? Or is it Tamu? See, brothers and sisters, y'all got to understand something. We worship the Most High God, and we are not confused about who the Most High is. It seems to me that ancient Egypt was. What y'all think? Thank you, Brother Sal.
All right, I hope you guys taking down your notes. Y'all writing information down. The Bible versus Egyptology, what's the moral foundation? And feel free to call in. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. I see we have a few people that press number 1 standing by. I appreciate your patience. We're going to get to the Q&A segment real soon. But let's go to the fourth rebuttal part of this debate. And after that, we're going to go to the cross-examination. And after that, we're going to take an intermission break. So let's go to the fourth rebuttal part of this debate. 6 minutes each. Let's go back to Asar. Go ahead.
I like my brother Laban because he says we're brothers all the time, and I'm going to show him just how brotherly we are here in just a moment. I will cover the aspects of nature, as you can find in Herodotus and Plutarch, to see that there's schools of the principles of nature and the universe, and I'll even show you a video I did on the cosmogony and cosmology, and it's Neb Er Chair, but I didn't expect you to know that, family, because you don't study our script. It's Lord to the uttermost limit, just like my brother Josh earlier was saying Dahuti or whatever, it's Jehuti. So just so that you guys can get that proper enunciation. Now, let me show you how brotherly we are. Let's go to your Bible text for a minute. God told Jacob to go to Kemet. Genesis 46:19. The sons of Jacob's wife Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. Now to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim. Who did he bear these children to? To Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. You know what a priest of On is? You call it Memphis. His wife is an Egyptian. That's how mixed up you guys were when you came out of Kemet. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, and Betcher, and Ashbel, Gera, and Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupin, Hupin, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob. There were 14 persons in all. Let's go to Numbers 13. Let's just see just how mixed up my Hebrew brothers are when they make slashes at the Remet's lifestyle. You are family, even though my brother Laban has not tonight. He's been absolutely awesome. Love you to death, brother. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send now men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among them. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel, and these were their names. Of the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, the son of Zakur. Of the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori. You know who Hori is? That's the son of Haru. Do y'all not know who Hori is? Of the tribe of Judah, he had Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. Of the tribe of Issachar, Igdal, and the son of Joseph. The son of Joseph of the tribe of Ephraim, and Oshea, the son of Nun. Who's the son of Nun? A part of the children of Israel. Ephraim and Oshea? Huh? Joseph is also the son of Nun, but I ain't even get into that yet. We're going to cover that in a minute. These are Egyptians amongst you that make up the tribes of Israel. Of the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu. Of the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sadi, on down. But let's go down a little further, who Moses entrusted. These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land, and Moses called Oshea, the son of Nun, and Yeshua. Those are Egyptians. That's your favorite hero, Joshua, ain't it? That's my man's. Genesis 16. Let's go a little deeper. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her. Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar. She conceived. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael. Ishmael is an Egyptian. He's an Egyptian. And he had an Egyptian wife. The descendants of Ishmael, if we go even further, you will see just how mixed you are. In fact, they settled from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt. As one goes towards Assyria, he settled in defiance of his relatives. Joshua's death. Then Joshua dismissed the people, each to his inheritance. It came about after these things that Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died being 110 years old, and they buried him in the territory of his inheritance in Timnath-Serah, which is in the hill country of Ephraim, of the north of Mount Gash. That's Joshua 24, verse 28 through 30. Y'all are Egyptian too. That's the end of my time. It's finished.
Thank you, Brother Sal. And I just find it funny that the brother is proactively going to scriptures that I believe about the Egyptians and the Israelites mixing. I believe that. And that's why I told y'all from the very beginning that if we don't come on this show in the spirit of love, then we ain't saying nothing. I believe you, my brother, in spirit. I believe you, my brother, in humanity. So let's cut all the mumbo-jumbo, your quote scriptures that have nothing to do with the debate. I believe that. The Bible also says that, and you guys don't even believe in the Exodus story, but it also says that when Israel left Egypt, they left with a multitude. That's a mongrel race of people. That's Egyptians. So come on, man. I don't even know what you're doing by trying to go there. I don't know if you're deflecting or whatever. I just want you to answer why Egypt did not have a proper foundation on how this world was created. That's where we're at, because that's where morality starts, at the creation. Who created this world and who is responsible for putting this moral code that you and I and everybody else listening in wants to take hold on to? I hope they want to take hold on to, because some of y'all be teaching some whack stuff on the show. I'm going to say that right now, but the whole point is stop deflecting, talking about race and racial mixing. I'm with that. I recognize myself as a black man that I could be a possible ancestor of Egypt. I'm a proselyte. That means I converted to the faith of the Hebrews, and I came from a pagan religion. I was in modern-day Christianity, you know, where you keep Christmas and all that stuff. LeVar was done with that years ago. So I'm a proselyte, and I believe in the faith of the Mashiach, Yeshua HaMashiach. So what I'm saying to you, I've already went over the fact that you had Coptic Christians in the first century who believed in the Messiah, and they were not running to Egyptology and the gods. So what I'm going to do now, since this brother don't want to talk about what the debate is actually about, let's see what the Most High said about the Egyptian gods. So it says right here in Joshua 24, since you want to go to Joshua. No, let's start at Joshua 2. Joshua 2 and 14, it says, Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. Can you quote that verse for me somewhere in your Egyptian text? Not to serve idols. Can you quote that for me? Because you seem to want to interject a thought that the Bible was plagiarized from Egypt, and that's cool. Great. Wonderful. I want you to quote something about the idols. I understand about nature and all that. I know they were nature worshipers and all that stuff because they built temples to these things. But we look at that as something else. Let's get Joshua 24:2. And it says, Joshua said unto all the people, thus said the Lord God of Israel, your father dwelled on the other side of the flood, which means river, in old times. Even Terah, the father of Abraham and the father of Nahor, they served other gods. Our Bible teaches us not to be playing around and no Egyptian myths or none of these Babylonian myths or none of these Chinese myths or none of this other stuff. I want you to address the gods. I want you to address what I put forth when I read out of the Book of the Dead. I want you to explain these things to me while there was a creation conflict in ancient Egypt. We have to start at the foundation, brother. Who created this world? Which one is the supreme deity? That's what I want to know. Was it Ty or the other two I named? You know, and thanks for the correction. I said to Bertram, I can't, you know, you're right. I don't study all of your texts. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. But I'm interested in the spiritual system and the spiritual philosophy. That's what we're all here for. We have to start at the foundation, the creation, my brother. Do you believe this world evolved from nothing? Or do you really believe that the gods did it? Or whatever metaphysical thing? That's what we want to know. I've already given you what I believe. I want to know what you believe as far as the creation. That's where it has to start, the foundation. So quit all this deflecting. The people want to know. That's my time.
All right, once again, it's Debate Talk You Radio. You know that number. Okay. I got the afterline. Okay, there you go. 646-716-7320. So now we're in the cross-examination part of this debate. We're going to start off with a SAR asking questions to LeVar. How it works is SAR is going to ask a series of questions. Well, you know, of course, he's going to ask one question at a time. And LeVar's going to have 1 minute to answer each question. And once the 1 minute is up, you're going to hear this sound. And once you hear that sound, it's time to go to the next question. So it's going to be, let me see how much time we have for that. It's going to be 8 minutes each. And after that, we're going to start with LeVar asking questions to Asar. So, again, this is question Q&A time, cross-examination time. So let's open up the phone lines for both brothers.
Hey,
and,
Brother Sal.
Yeah.
Sal, I thought you said we were going to do a 10-minute intermission real fast.
Yes, after this, actually. It's actually after this.
Is it?
You need one now?
Let me get my... Yeah, we could do it now. That way I can, I got to make a quick phone call on my other phone.
All right, no doubt. So let's do that then. Let's take a 10-minute break. And after that, we're going to come back with the cross-examination, and after that, the Q&A segment, the public Q&A, where you can call in with your questions and your comments. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back after these messages. Stand by. All right, once again, this on Debate Talk for You is back. And let me check in with my brothers on a panel to see if everybody's ready. Asar, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get this thing started. We're going to go to the cross-examination part of this debate. Again, Asar's going to ask LeVar a series of questions, and he's going to have 1 minute each to answer each question. So, Asar, you're going to ask him the questions.
Well, first, before I ask him the question, because my brother makes a charge to me, he says this debate is about the cosmogonies instead of the morality. But let me point you to a place called Waset, which you probably call Thebes. See, we have a special thing in Kemet that we do. The thing that we do is we show respect to the ancestors. So Waset, or Thebes, show respect by adding the cosmogonies one by one so that you can get the true aspect of nature. Let me give it to you. Amen came into existence of his own accord. He made his own egg. He cackled aloud when he took the form of the great cackler. He spoke when it was silent and caused all to see and gave everything life. He is the inside of every Netcharu. He became the Pesejet, which you call the Ogdo. That's noon, Amen, so forth and so on. In his first form, becoming all the elements that will make up the others, the elements that exist as Nun, Ptah. So now you know how Ptah exists with the Nun and what the Nun is made out of. This Pesejet is the form of Ptah Nun as he created the Tatanin. The Tatanin is Tim, who you mentioned before establishing the prime evil Netcheru, as they say, chief Netcher of Huat Ka Ptah. You know who that is. That's Ptah, the great Pesejet. The great Pesejet, who? Asar, Aset, Jehuti, so forth and so on. So you know who those Netcheru are. They are the fingers, the hymns say. He rises as Atum Ra, spreading his light, and then he begins to create Shu and Tepnut. So now you know how they go together, okay? Hermopolis, as you would call it, first. That creates the first Pesejet. Then we go from there to Nun Ptah in Memphis. So you understand Nun and Ptah. So you understand what the Nun is made of or its surname when they're all together. Then we go to the other places until we get to Waset, where they tell you Atum Ra is the creation, the seen and the unseen portion, or Amin Raj you're used to hearing. So that's how the Pesejet is made up. But let's get back to the fray. When we talk about the tribes of Israel, it's just kind of strange. The names of the men who shall be present with you of the tribe of Reuben, Elisur, the son of Sedur, and Simeon of Salome. This is from Genesis. This is from the Septuagint. One of the names of the tribes is Asar. How do you explain the fact that Asar, Phagiel, the son of Ekron, is a part of the tribes of Israel? And why would you say that Egypt is not a part? And Manasseh, and Joseph, and Ephraim, all Egyptian. So just because there was a circumcision on Gilgal, and we know the fathers of war, the men of war, were died, and their children were raised up to be the Israelites, we know in the Hebrew tradition that the father is the one who determines the sex, and determines whether you're Israelite or whatever the case. We know that you say the father does that. These are clearly children of Ramech lifestyle. These are clearly Ramech people. Why would you say that they're only Israelite and not Egyptian? And how does that make you feel as an Israelite to know that your fathers are Egyptian? So why would you defame Egypt as most Abrahamic faiths do instead of paying it homage and giving it respect?
Okay, can I answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, number one, if, again, I agree that the Egyptians and the Israelites intermingled, right? And when I said that this debate, we're talking about morality here. Again, we're talking about the foundation of morality. And what we have to do is define where we get this from. Now, again, I don't believe man could have had this mindset without some supernatural being, right? And so what I'm saying to you is I have no problem with Israelites and Egyptians intermingling. I'm talking about the spiritual aspect of where this moral code came from. And what was the question you asked me? Basically, why would I degrade or defame Egypt? Is that what you asking?
Right. Because, and I only ask you that because there's a story in the Bible, which we all know, which I have to tackle later because I've been charged by one of the elders about Exodus. So when we talk about Exodus, they're defaming Egypt. They're saying this, they're saying that. No archaeological proof necessarily, but they're saying this about them. So then the defaming of Egypt becomes popular in your Bible, it becomes popular in your Quran, it becomes popular in your Torah.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the spiritual system, my brother, you're not getting this. And I'm going to make it real clear for you, okay? The listening audience is interested in who they are supposed to serve. Now, in my religion, so to speak, they would call them Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahweh, so on and so forth. And he's giving us a clear description on what was going on in ancient Kemet. And reading
books like the Book of the Dead, I'm quite sure you have a copy.
Right.
You can read some of these conflicting stories about what happened in creation. I'm simply saying this for the debate talk for you listening audience. In order to establish morality, you have to have a moral law giver. Man did not just pop out of thin air and make up their own rules. Something put this in us. And I'm simply telling you that when I look at the creation account, that's where you have to start, the foundation. When you look at that, dealing with the Egyptian pantheon, my brother, I get confused. And I'm here for edification. I'm not here to bash you.
Next question.
You can let him continue, Saul. You can let him continue if you want to finish that. I just want to give him a chance to.
Okay.
And
so what I'm saying to you is, in my cross-examination, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I'm here for edification. This ain't about, dogging brothers out and trying to make them look bad and fun. I come in love. I tell people that all the time. I'm about building. So if it's something you could teach me, fine, great, Danny, because we're brothers, like you said. But I have some questions, and maybe you can answer them for me. I'm telling you that the reason why it's defamed is because we see certain things in Kemet that's not being explained in Harlem, 125th Street, where these guys go and battle Hebrew Israelites and all that. We have questions. And like I said, when we get to my turn, I'm going to ask you, maybe you can explain some of these things for me.
Absolutely. By all means, ask your question, family.
Great. Let's move on, Sal.
All right, so you can ask your questions, Alabar. You can ask your questions. That's all.
Okay, I'm in the Book of the Dead, brother. You got a copy of it? Because I don't want you to think that I'm just...
Let me grab mine.
I'm quite sure you got a couple translations. I'm looking at the E.A. Wallace Budge translation, by the way.
His is not the best, but absolutely. Go ahead, Sam.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I've heard that, and, this is about building and learning, and I've heard that. So, if you could point me to a better translation, that would be great. But I do have...
Raymond Faulkner. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There was something that I had mentioned earlier about the Egyptian pantheon when I had read, I think it was on page, I can't remember what page it was on, because I just got notes. I ain't got the book on me.
That's okay. I'll try to pull up the book for you if Sal will give me more than a minute.
Yeah, but it mentioned the fact that the Egyptians were conflicted about the stories of creation. I want you to explain to me why that was and why we should believe the individual stories that was coming from different regions in Kemet, because they were not a collective group that believed the same thing. We can agree on that. History proves that.
Absolutely. When you talk about the ancient Remech people, it's a conglomeration of several. In particular, we know the Khoi, we know the Jinka, we know the Maasai, who gave us our virtues of Ma'at, which most people don't know. And you have other people who called nature different things. What you're looking at in Kemet is the respect of 72 tribes, possibly more to start, coming together, formulating these ideas, creating schools of thought on an African-based system, and putting them together as one. And each one of them, as I pointed out in the cosmogony, each city-state who also had a university for their particular nature there, which was an aspect of the universe, creation, and yourself as a person, they gave information about these things. And when they debated each other, they decided that one was above the other, and that's how they became in line. So Amen became the king, and Amen-Ra became the king of the Nisu. So that's how you have it, and that's the respect that they had between each other. So the cosmogonies fit together, as they say. The little Pasejet are the fingers. The great Pasejet is what makes up the noon.
Yeah, sorry about that. 1 minute is up. Gary, next question.
Okay, my question is about in the Book of the Dead, page 117, and I'm going to quote it for you, and you can get the translation you got.
Which hymn is it? Like, is it for being transformed, or is it for being...
I didn't even write the heading of it down, but it's talking about how it's talking about Ta here. Hold on, let me see.
Ta, the earth.
Hold on, let me see. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. You know what? How about we do we were talking about. Let's talk about Kephara. Let's talk about Kephara.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna read the quote and you explain it to me. Okay.
Okay. I'll do my best.
It says, Kephara, who from first to last was regarded as a form of Nu, or the creative par excellence, Kephara came into being by pronouncing his own name, and when he wanted a place to stand, he first conceived the similitude of that standing place in his mind. And when he had given it a name and uttered that name, the standing place at once came into being. He created the first triad of God. He had union with his shadow, and so begat offspring who proceeded from his body in the form of Shu, which is air or whatever, and Tefnah. So can you explain to me about how he had union or sex with his own shadow?
Absolutely. His shadow that was created from his person is called Nut. So that's the universe, or Tefnut in particular. When you talk about the female version or the female counterpart to each nature, remember they move in families. Kephara is the creative force. Kephara is also an overlapping nature because Kephara also makes up part of Amun-Ra. And Kephara also makes a part of the Noon, which is the universe that surrounds. That's the pout. That's what everything is created from. Which is created by what? The Agdod, Amen, the wind, the fire, the earth, which you can find in Homer. Homer explains that for you as far as the natures of each nature.
So as far as I can surmise, what you're saying is that the ancient Egyptians had a spiritual system that consisted of thought in nature as a means to explain nature itself and how things came to be. They looked at nature and they looked at it, and when
seen
we
it
read
in families.
the translation, right? And when we look at the translation and it says he had sex with his own shadow, we're not supposed to look at it from a Western European mindset. We're supposed to get a metaphysical interpretation out of that. Am I correct when I say that?
Exactly, because the sentence that you use is not quite the one in the Medu Neter. In the Medu Neter, it says with the new, it says with the this, or it says with the, like for instance, E.A. Wallace Budge says, and ate the so and so, or ate the human being. But Unis, when he's talking about the